What's up, guys? I'm Alex from Chelsea Grin, and you're watching RichardThinks.org. Honestly, it's kind of funny because I always wanted to go to Warped Tour, like growing up, but my mom, I was too young at the time, my mom wouldn't let me. So the first time I actually attended Warped Tour is when this band first started, and we won like a Battle of the Bands thing to play on the Ernie Ball stage. So we played, and that was actually the first time I actually attended Warped Tour. And then after that, the only other two times I attended were the times we were blessed enough to be put on the tour. So it's kind of cool to me that, you know, I've always wanted to go this tour, like growing up, and the fact that the only times I've gone are the times we've actually been on the tour. So it's awesome. It's a really good feeling, you know what I mean? Yeah, 2 years ago when I'm just going to disregard the Battle of Bands thing because that was whatever. The first 2 years ago in 2012 when we were actually on the tour, it started in Salt Lake City, and it was the first time we used our in-ears. And it was in our hometown, and we had a giant crowd, but we had so many technical difficulties that we were only able to play 3 songs. And that was the first time my mom actually saw me play too. But other than that, like, Warped Tour is great. It's basically like an adult summer camp. You know, you get to hang out with a bunch of friends. You get to, like, interact, you know, you get to put on a 10, you know, it's cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, I have a bunch, but one in particular that I really thought was awesome was we played in Indiana, and right when we started, like before we really even got into it, like the crowd just expanded, like this huge pit formed, and people were moving so hard and so fast that chunks of grass were getting kicked up into the air, and shoes were flying on stage. Shoes were flying in the air. Like people went like hard as fuck, like right at the beginning. And then that's when I knew, I was like, this is gonna be a fun set. This is gonna be sick, you know. So, I mean, personally, if you're a young band on Warped, and you know you're obviously not quite as established as other bands, and you know you're obviously on Warped, you should take advantage of it. I see bands waking up early in the morning and like walking the lines trying to sell CDs or like trying to sell merch, or like, you know, giving kids their set time, you know, like really like doing like the dirty, grindy work, you know what I mean? And then throughout the day, you know, hanging out at the merch table, you know, still walking around trying to sell CDs, trying to promote your band, really. So it's all about grinding, you know what I mean? Like you gotta get out there, you gotta sweat, you gotta work your ass off. Warped Tour is one of a kind, man. Like Warped Tour is seriously like, I mean, we did the festival run in Europe last year, you know what I mean, and but there's something special about Warped Tour, you know what I mean. There's like, you get to make friends with so many bands that you would never ever expect to tour with, you know. For example, like one of my favorite bands is a really guilty pleasure of mine is Mayday Parade, and you know I've got to meet those guys and like hang out with them, and now we're friends, you know what I mean. Like those are the kind of bands that my band would never really tour with on a regular basis, so it's fucking awesome. Yeah, we just dropped an album called Ashes to Ashes. It's been out for about 2 weeks now. You can pick it up at FYE, Best Buy, or iTunes. And I think there's only like 10 shows left to Warped Tour, but if you're coming out to Warped Tour, you can catch us on the Monster stage. Came together, you know, like Evolve was kind of more of like an experimentation type thing, and then this album, like, we knew exactly how we were gonna write it, you know what I mean? And, you know, not only Jason, but Pablo too, like, he was a great contribution to the writing. Like he would write songs on guitar too, and like him, Dan, and Jason would write full songs like on Pro Tools with drums and everything, and that would be like the pre-pro, and like send it over, and we'd kind of, you know, like structure it differently if needed, you know, trim the fat if needed, and then, you know, I just write lyrics to it, go into the studio and lay down the vocals.